It certainly was a scary period because it was filled with so much uncertainty. Um, I knew at the time that I wasn't in the place to get a job because I had so much on my plate with school. But I also knew as soon as I finished school, I need something to do. So I was kind of caught between a rock and a hard place because I needed something to do once I finished, but I can't do anything now, which would aid my transition. So it was scary. It was, but I had to think outside the box. I had to think what's one way that I don't have to give a lot of my time to an employer and still be able to focus on my books. So it was scary, but I had to think outside the box. I was able to think outside the box and look for example, volunteer opportunities, which are a lot more temporary and not time demanding. So I can choose if I'm providing 8 hours in my week. I can say I'm only working on Wednesdays and that's it. And they'll be okay with that. So that's one way I had to go about it and hope and pray that this person that I volunteer for hires me after. But it's not guaranteed. It's not as certain, you know?
Mm. So it was
Yeah. So
strategic, like you doing that. And then this volunteership, because when I hear volunteer, I don't think payment. So it was free,
it
right?
was basically free.
Damn, for 8 hours. I mean, she's really telling you what it takes. I'm glad that you're not even sugarcoating it. It's like, yo, I volunteered at these places, at this. And when you were choosing volunteer sports, what was your thought process? Were you thinking, okay, I'm about to finish. This is the field that I'm in, because she did a master's in law. Um, I guess she'll tell us the specifics. Me, just call it law, period. Um, like, what were you thinking when picking volunteership? Is that a word? That's crazy.
Mhm.
Volunteer opportunities. It's a word. Huh?
I don't know.
Hey, I'm sorry if it's not a
I think
word.
so.
Sorry, teacher. So when you're choosing these volunteer opportunities, what was your criteria?
Yeah, I definitely needed something in my field because I knew what I needed was something that would strengthen my Canadian experience in the legal field and increase the possibilities of employment because the end goal is to be a lawyer in Canada. So I have to now work. The first year that I was here as a student, I was just like, I need survival. I need to just be able to sustain myself and pay for different expenses that I have. But after I quit that job, I was like, I need to now start building towards becoming a lawyer in Canada. What does that entail? Intentionally seeking out opportunities in law firms or an organization, but in the legal department of that organization. So I had to be very intentional with that.
Mm,
Yeah.
sorry, let me just cut off the volume here. Okay, so being in law, you decided my volunteership opportunities are going to be aligned with that, because this is where I want to build my network or my experience. That's a key point for you people that are watching that want to go and study and live in Canada. Once you're finishing, let's say you're looking to volunteer, you need to think about things like, what am I going to do after this? Does it align with my program? When I was applying to go study in Canada, before I went there, I was denied my visa twice. Reason being that I was choosing a course that was not aligning with what I did for my bachelor's, right? I did a bachelor's in international business. When I was going that side, I was applying for something totally different, totally different. And that was the reason I got denied twice. The third time, I decided to go for an MBA, and that's when I got it. So kind of apply the same thinking when you're selecting these volunteership opportunities or even jobs. If you get a job that aligns with what you're already doing, that is the jackpot. Just based off of my experience talking to people in Canada, having been there, and also talking to my sister and my relatives on that side. So now let's talk about you finishing and now getting the job that you're doing right now. How did you go about that?
Yeah. So um, it actually ties in pretty well because when I initially contacted the people that are currently employing me, I did it with the intention of volunteering for them. So it was one of those companies that I called in and I was like, listen, I'm willing to volunteer. I'm willing to work for 1 day a week, maybe two, depending on, my schedule and what the needs are. But I'm willing to do it for free. At the time, they weren't really hiring or looking for anyone, so I didn't get the volunteer position. I got it somewhere else. But they called me back later when they were hiring and took me through the hiring process. I went in knowing that I was going to get a volunteer position. Thankfully, they hired me. They changed their mind and hired me just in time when I finished my program. And yeah, that's exactly how I got it. It was initially my willingness to volunteer that just turned into an employment opportunity.
I like how we just talked about volunteership and then you just came through with a testimony real quick. You're like, yo, I volunteered and now I'm working. I'm being paid because I volunteered. So, guys, I don't think there's a better segue than this. That short period without work into your job, it's volunteership that got her there.